It is 3 a.m. and you are sitting at a red light, with absolutely no cars in any direction. No headlights are coming towards you, nobody is behind you, and the signal just stays red without budging. You sit there watching it and waiting for something to happen, while you start to wonder if the thing is even working. Most people assume these lights run on a simple clock or a schedule that counts down to green, whether a car is there or not. But that is not how the system works at most intersections. If you were to cut through the asphalt at almost any modern light, you would find a hidden mechanism that changes the whole picture. The light isn't just guessing that you're there. It is actually waiting for a specific physical signal from your car before it even considers changing the flow of traffic. You have probably noticed those thin, dark grooves cut into the road, right where your front tires stop at an intersection. These lines are usually shaped like a rectangle or a large diamond, and most drivers just assume they are old patch jobs or crack repairs. The truth is that those grooves are there on purpose, and the wire tucked inside them is the only reason the light knows to turn green for you. To set this up, workers use a saw to cut channels into the pavement before feeding in a coil of wire and sealing it back up with a thick layer of epoxy. This loop sits about 6 inches below the surface, where it stays completely invisible to the average driver. A low-level electrical current runs through that wire at all times, which creates a steady magnetic field sitting right on top of the asphalt. This is where the clever part of the physics comes in. When a large metal object like your car or a truck rolls over that loop, it interferes with the magnetic field. The metal in your engine block and your frame acts like a second coil passing through the first one, and that interaction causes the electrical frequency in the loop to shift downward. A detector connected to the wire reads that specific drop in frequency and registers that a vehicle is officially waiting at the line. The best part about this design is that it doesn't require any physical contact to work. Your tires don't have to press a button, and nothing actually pokes through the asphalt to feel the weight of the car. Detection happens entirely through the metal in your vehicle interacting with a field you can't see or hear, and it works reliably tens of thousands of times every single day. But this is where it gets frustrating. Ever sit on a motorcycle at a red light that just refuses to change? That isn't a glitch. A motorcycle has a tiny fraction of the metal mass found in a standard car, so the frequency shift it produces might be too small for the sensor to pick up. If the loop doesn't detect enough of a shift, the controller assumes the lane is empty. You're physically there, but to the intersection you don't exist. It isn't a malfunction, it's just a sensor that isn't sensitive enough to feel the bike. So if the loop does see you, where does that signal actually go? To answer that, we need to look inside the gray box on the corner. Technicians use handheld testers to measure this frequency shift in real time by holding the device over the asphalt while a vehicle drives across. You can actually watch the numbers drop on the display as the metal passes over the wire, which proves it is a measurable physical event happening under your feet. The road isn't just a passive surface you drive on, because it is constantly listening for the metal in your car. If you want to see more of how the world works, hit subscribe. Follow that signal from the loop, and you will find it travels through a buried conduit, climbs up the pole, and enters that gray metal cabinet bolted near the intersection. Most people walk right past this box without a second look, but the actual decisions happen inside this housing. This cabinet contains the NEMA controller, which stands for the National Electrical Manufacturers Association Standards, and it acts as the command center for the entire street. Inside the controller sits a detector rack holding a row of small circuit cards, and each card is responsible for listening to one specific loop in the road. These cards monitor for a frequency shift on their assigned loop, and then convert that change into a simple binary output. The only data the loop actually produces is a yes or no regarding whether a vehicle is present. Because the logic is so stripped down, the system stays reliable even in harsh conditions. The controller takes those simple signals from every lane and uses them to cycle through a sequence of phases. Each phase corresponds to a specific movement, such as northbound through traffic, a left turn from the east, or a pedestrian crossing from the south. As the controller cycles through these phases, the loop data reveals which lanes actually have vehicles queued up and waiting. If no one is sitting on a particular loop, the controller can skip that phase entirely to save time, which is why a green light often appears faster at a quiet intersection than a busy one. Now, this is where the common myth about traffic timers actually has a grain of truth. Some intersections run in what engineers call max recall mode, and in this setting, the controller ignores the loop data to run every phase on a fixed schedule. This usually happens during peak commute hours when every lane is expected to be full anyway. So in those specific cases, you really are waiting on a clock. It just isn't the kind of timer most people imagine. And it only happens because an engineer decided the sensor data wasn't worth processing when traffic is that predictable. The inductive loop has been doing this job since the 1960s, and that is a remarkable track record for a piece of infrastructure that most drivers don't even know exists. But the system has a real weakness that comes down to the limited vocabulary of the buried wire. The loop can only tell the controller that metal is here or metal is gone, and it cannot distinguish between a semi-truck and a compact car. It doesn't know how many vehicles are stacked up behind the line or how fast they are moving, because it only answers one question at a time. There is also a significant maintenance problem because the loop wire sits inside asphalt, and asphalt is a material that constantly moves. Freeze-thaw cycles cause the road surface to expand and contract all winter long, and over time, that flexing cracks the protective seal around the wire. Once water gets into those cracks, the loop fails and the controller simply stops receiving data from that lane without any warning. A crew then has to come out to locate the break, cut the road open again, and rerun the wire, which is a slow and disruptive process that happens more often than traffic engineers would like. This maintenance headache created the opening that AI cameras are now stepping into. Systems like Iteris or Autoscope mount a camera directly on the signal pole to look down at the approach lanes. The software running behind that lens can identify vehicle types, measure the length of the queue, and estimate the speed of every car in the stack. This provides a completely different level of data in real time without ever touching the road surface, and it allows the controller to make much smarter decisions about how long each green light should last. Where cameras fall short is exactly where the old-school loops are at their strongest. Heavy rain can diffuse the camera image, and direct glare from low sun angles often throws off the detection software. Nighttime edge cases still trip up even the best-trained AI models, but the loop doesn't have any of those problems because it relies on physics rather than optics. There is no lens to get dirty and no lighting condition that can break a magnetic field, so the system never needs retraining when it starts misreading delivery vans as motorcycles. Because of these trade-offs, most modern intersections don't choose one over the other, and they usually run both systems at once. The loop handles the reliable yes or no detection, while the camera adds the richer layers of data on top. The next time you are sitting at a red light at 3 a.m., remember that you aren't just waiting on a mechanical clock. You are waiting on a wire 6 inches under your tires that is reading your car's magnetic signature to decide if you've been there long enough to deserve a green light. That wire has been running quietly under the roads for 60 years, and even though it looks unglamorous, it still outperforms systems that cost 10 times as much when conditions get rough. If you want to keep seeing the hidden logic inside the machines you use every day, hit subscribe. We break down one mechanism every week because there is always more buried under the surface.